Well, after a bit of a substitution after that last thing we just saw, we definitely are going to be going to a game 4. Dokla came in. Unfortunately, it wasn't the secret sauce that Team Liquid needed to close out the series right away. And so, gentlemen, I'm going to start with you, Gubby. We got to ask, what was really going on here, and starting with the draft?
Yeah, so our expected diagnosis of Dokla was that they were going to try and use some extra resources to send his way, and that he'd play something like a Jace or a Renekton. And the Dokla substitution, like him playing those two champions and it not being a Jenkins pool, for me that makes a little bit of sense. But I think Crumbs properly identified that Jenkins was drawing 2 bans every draft, and second picking Gangplank for Dokla, a champion that we really associate with Jenkins and his play, doesn't seem like it's something that plays into his strengths, plays into his wheelhouse, and kind of left us scratching our heads a little bit on the desk.
I felt rather... Go ahead. Oh, no, go ahead. No, you said you want to talk about it.
I was going to say, like, kicking off into game, like, that expectation was there, even with, like, the GP of, like, okay, early topside resources. And as, like, the plays beginning to kind of transpire, what happened in game 1 was we had a bunch of shenanigans that just kind of stalled everything in top lane, where, like, summoner spells were getting burnt, nothing was happening. Everything broke loose very quickly in this top side for both sides, because it started with this initial gank for Armeo, able to get that first blood for this top side, thankfully able to set them up for a good position. The response TP is something C9 does a lot in a bunch of their games, was able to capitalize on it, but this just leads to further nonsense between these two. And again, when you don't have this super powerful member that you're trying to get very fed inside of this game, things become difficult for the side of Team Liquid, the whole purpose of Dokla coming in.
And I love how not only do C9 and Surefire, at least he saves the play at first, but then he revisits 2 minutes later on that window at the same timer to punish the summoners being down. And this is what really opened up a lead for C9, and man, did they run away with it this game.
Feels really awkward looking at how Team Liquid are trying to take some of these fights, because normally they've been pretty good. We've referenced their series up against 100 Thieves a number of times, and how well they were actually able to play some of these team fights despite being down an immense amount of gold. But we're also just seeing here, I feel like there might be a little bit of unluckiness there because the wards were on top of each other. It's possible that Armeo didn't know they were there, but when you find yourself at this much of a deficit, also experiencing such a large range disadvantage, it becomes very difficult, Rebel, for Cloud9 to lose a lot of these fights. We see that they're able to just poke their way through and just kill the Conga line.
Yeah, basically, this was like the first time that C9 not only like kind of captured a very early laning advantage, but then continued to capitalize and grow that advantage through and throughout the game. We expected that Team Liquid at some point would be able to stall this and continue to kind of sandbag the game into their favor the way they had against 100 Thieves and other teams throughout the majority of the split. But this was not the case as C9. I mean, when you've got Victor and Varus, and you've got Diana for dive, and you've got support of like the Jace and so much range to work with, when you start with a gold advantage and things never are able to flop for Team Liquid, it is near impossible to respond to. So not only are they finding fights, they're able to just continue getting kills time and time again against every single member, and C9 just ran away with it. This is what we wanted for them. It's like that early advantage, play to it, play and continue to grow it throughout the entirety of the early game. That's how you combat Team Liquid, not this 5-on-5 nonsense. So maybe they've actually turned a corner here inside of the series.
And before we turn our attention to the next game, though, Ripple, I do want to give you some opportunities to air your grievances, right? You had a lot of strong words about a certain item active. I
have no problems with anything anyone
no
did in
problems?
that game, not even one.
Well, I'll go ahead and say it for you. I don't think we saw Harry's Zhonya's go off a single time. It was unfortunately a situation where we haven't quite seen him step up as much as some of the other members just quite yet. We know he's a strong Irelia player, and I know, Cubby, you've talked a little bit about this previously as one of the things that you want to see him play a little bit. So now that they're going to be switching back onto the blue side and bringing back in Jenkins, is this where the draft is going to be going?
We'll see. Harry didn't have his greatest game there, but I think he's been a pretty solid piece for at least the first few games we've had, just, playing out the zone control, playing out LeBlanc to get poked down so Aphelios could function in game 1. Game 2, a good zone control on the Orianna, even if those shockwaves didn't always connect. But yeah, when I think of Harry, I think his real strengths and where I have the best highlights and memories of Harry, it's been his Lee Sin and Aurelia play throughout this entire split. So that is an option that Team Liquid have been kind of saving in their back pocket. I think that it's because they're going up against C9, and because Shermfire does really accelerate at the early game, as we got to finally see here, as his Diana, his best champion, he's played all split. gave C9 the one clutch win they need to try and make this a best of 5. And I'm curious to see how TL responds. Jenkins stepping in and TL taking blue side tells me that they just want to standard blue side draft. They want to play much how they did in Game 1 and Game 2. Play for zone control, get an early Aphelios, and just go from there. And I want to see if that Trundle is still going to be as high of priority for Team Liquid and what answers C9 has into it, because I don't like it support against Braum, but I do really like it for Armeo in the jungle, especially if Schernfire is going to be on champions like Xin or Olaf, things that he has found a lot of success on.
All right,
I've
Rebel, go ahead.
Yeah. I found something else as the series has gone on. You ever have one of like the spots on your ceiling that looks like it's wet, but you're like, I'll leave it, maybe it'll be okay.
What?
Slowly over the course of the series, that has been the jungle matchup with Armeo, where like drip by drip, water has kind of taken down. And I know Rafa talked about the jungle matchup where like Schernfire has been doing very well when it came to farming. Game 2, it got even worse. Game 3, it culminated in it was nearly a flame horizon. It was a ridiculous amount of pressure. The Diana was obviously the comfort. The spot has become just like a hole in the roof, and that needs to be patched with something, whether that's the Trundle, whether that's something else for Armea that's going to be comfortable. I think the jungle matchup something else that cannot be ignored by Team Liquid anymore inside of the draft either.
I will say that I think that Armeo sacrificing himself to help his laners and his team, that's something that's very core to TL style, whereas Schernfire, he is the person that, I mean, when you have Copy playing 10 games to set mid, like, that's going to put a lot of resources in the jungle, and that's something that C9 does really excel at. So a part of that is playstyles, but yeah, I mean, Schernfire, he took over that game, and the Diana now, we knew it was a top champion for C9. Swapping the Viego to the Diana, I think, really benefited them in Game 3, and that's something that TL might look to ban, as they are on blue side. They're going to probably keep banning out that Ziggs, but they might have to think about adding Diana to that list. They are really concerned about that champion for Schernfire.
Well, as we start looking at potentially, again, the second match point coming in for Team Liquid, Cubby is currently on track to be the most right. Rebel Fox still needs 2 consecutive wins
Fingers
coming
crossed.
out from Cloud9, and hopefully, at least I'll be more right than Rebel if Team Liquid are able to finish this game. But ultimately, it's going to depend on how they actually play on the Rift, and to bring you the call, we're going to be giving it right on back to Rafa and Crumbs.
Thank you so much, Josh, and fingers crossed for at least 2 more games. I don't care who wins. Just give us the Game 5 bangers, ladies and gentlemen. And Crumbs, now Team Liquid have returned to the promised land of the blue side. We're going to see if that changes the draft strategy, as Jenkins has also been slotted back into the roster.
Yeah, Jenkins is back, and Team Liquid have banned Schernfire's Comfort, which was really good on the Diana that last game. And another thing to note in Team Liquid's return to blue side is that the first time around, they did play Aphelios. Their first pick was Aphelios. And so I thought Varus might be pinched, but Cloud9 is even thinking that Team Liquid might have actually snatched it away. And they would rather have Team Liquid not first pick that than give themselves the chance to pick the Varus, which was so good for them before. So this is a pretty telling thing for me out of Cloud9. And seeing the strength of the ADKs, if they're even going to ban that Aphelios, what I was just touching on, they actually thought that was a really strong pick, but instead it will be most likely the Trundle for Armeo. No more flexing into the support role, because I know that it can be good, but you just lack someone to engage, and that's the problem. You need somebody to engage. I know Trundle can do a good job, but if your jungler isn't like a Zac or some Sejuani that can hard engage, then Trundle support just doesn't cut it.
It needs a little bit more gas to be able to actually accelerate the pace for Team Liquid to find these engages. Cloud9 going to open up, though, with a Tristana. This is the first time we've seen this pick actually even brought up in this series at all, but it is something that both King and Copy have played during the regular season. I believe Copy stats on it. Okay, may have lied, or maybe that was during the playoffs, so I'm going to have to double check, but you know what? It's not going to be even Copy's Tristana anyway, because we have the LeBlanc locked in instead.
Okay, that is throwing in like another gauntlet, which you like to see in a finals. You want to see the teams throw down what they think is going to be assertive and win them the game. It's going to be LeBlanc. There's no hiding where this pick is going to go. It is for Copy. Now, Cloud9 can start banning away, chipping away at the ban pool of mid, if Team Liquid don't lock in mid right now. And this is a matchup, Rafa, that every time we've seen it in Academy playoffs, Rise wins. Rise just wins it because he buys Merc Treads. And then LeBlanc goes in, gets rooted, gets burst, gets cloned out because her clone is now bouncing spell fluxes, and it's not good. It's not a good look for the LeBlanc right there. So I'm liking what I'm seeing out of TL. This is a good response into the LeBlanc. The Xayah will stay safe, and now C9 need to recognize we're going to get outscaled in the LeBlanc Rise matchup, so Xin needs to join the mix and need to start chain ganking with Copy.
You need to accelerate the pace of the game for Cloud9 because, like you said, how does LeBlanc ever get a chance to kill Xayah in the late game? You go in for the poke, you go in for the assassination, Featherstorm, boom, completely negated. You go into the Rise matchup, the Rise beats you later on the game goes. You are really depending and relying on apt split pushing and just being the first one to reach mythic power spikes in the mid game and then just try to blow the game out of the water before team even have a chance to scale up. Team Liquid already identifying that top laners have not been selected. Technically, this Rise can be flexed into the top lane, but more than likely, they want to wait out and see what Darshan wants to go for before they lock in a pick for Jenkins. We already saw in the past, Gangplank and Gnar were go-to blind picks for him in this matchup.
I think it's Gnar, like you just said, because you ban Aurelia if you want to play Gnar. Gnar is the champion that is very common into the top, safe and blind, and Aurelia is the champion that usually red side counters into it. And you know that Cloud9 is probably not going to blind their top laner right now. They would probably save it for a response. And here they're tempting Darshan. Would you like to blind the Gnar? We'll have an answer for it, but at least you won't have counter pick, right? At least you won't have it. So they're offering Cloud9, hey, you want to take Gnar? Otherwise, you'll counter support, and that really won't be that valuable. You'll get more value from the top lane counter pick, especially for Cloud9's playstyle. They take it. They say, Darshan, you got the Gnar pick. A lot of champions are banned. You've been really good at it. But what does Jenkins play? Camille is banned. Kennen and GP are down. You could always go Tom Kench, but he played the other side of this matchup and lost it. So I think you could give respect over to Darshan and pick something else.
Notice how Cloud9 did not feel the need to ban away the other half of the Lovers duo in Rakan. Ayla, with this pick, not only has the ability to have follow-up engage or primary engage if you burn flash, but you have ways of being able to stall out mega dive compositions as well. You can always, talking with Lopali on yesterday's stream for the Unified Grand Prix, you can always just use the Rakan to try and charm divers, and now you have an Akali. This is an interesting, spicy pick to throw in the mix right now.
One of the few top laners that actually has this one in the champ pool is Jenkins. And she's a strong laner, hard to gank, gonna be a really annoying target to deal with because there's not a lot of hard CC on the side of Cloud9. Last pick, Alistar, trying to answer it, right? You gotta have a way to peel her. You can at least punch her away, headbutt her in the shroud, peel for your team, but look at the summoners that Jenkins is running. He's Ignite. He's looking for blood in this matchup. And when I saw his Akali in the LCS, he got 3 kills by himself, a triple, carried the game. This is a really proficient Akali player. So I think that Team Liquid is set up in some really strong lanes. And a lot of it will also come down to Jenkins executing on the Akali pick. But going up into Darshan's Gnar, that's Darshan's best pick all year. I'd say the Nara has been his go-to. So both top laners on match point throwing down on what they think is their best chance of winning.
This is going to be an insanely hyped top lane matchup once again. Akali throws a huge curveball into the mix because now it kind of opens up the floor for where Armeo wants a focus priority in this matchup. Normally you would try to make sure you are protecting mid lane. Copy and Xin Zhao want to link up and try and annihilate Harry or give Copy a huge advantage. But if you're able to get out safely of this lane, use Rise priority to shift your way over towards the top side of the map, you got this Akali fed, and now you're creating so many problems for Cloud9 to deal with come mid game.
Akali fed might be the biggest problem in the League of Legends match. That champion, when she gets going, is unstoppable. So I think Armeo would have no problem devoting his energies up there, but he's got 2 solo lanes that he knows he can count on in this game, while the bot lane, I think, is already telling of how they want to play this matchup defensively.
Ayla using Grand Entrance in front of King, trying to look for information. Thankfully, he's not in any danger, as it was a 3-on-1 advantage in case King wanted to look for a kill. But look at this. We have incredibly aggressive summoner spells on the bottom lane for Cloud9. Exhaust from King and Ignite from Isles. They are looking for blood, or these are summoners that are going to assist them towards the mid game, as you can always exhaust an Akali trying to punch your way.
And that's why I say that reading the summoners of Cloud9 is aggressive, but reading Team Liquid, it's defensive. They don't want to play to this side of the map. It's heal, exhaust. These 2 champions are fairly difficult to kill, especially at level 6. So I think that Team Liquid is looking to play to the solo lanes. And once again, Armeo starts at red buff and will path to the top side of the map, making his jungle clear, aimed at helping the solo lanes out. Maybe we'll see an invade. We'll see about that. I think he usually prefers to just help the lanes out. And against a Mini-Gnar, I think it will be a champion that probably plays a little more passive than the Lucian we saw in Game 1. But you always have to keep the Trundle ganks in the back of your mind if you're Cloud9, because it's just too risky to not consider it. Because if it works, the games that it does, it changes everything.
Now that level 1 push for the ward into the blue buff did give Yon and Ayla a little bit of advantage. Oh man, already defensive vision. Darshan learning from the previous series, from already knowing that gank could come his way, as Jenkins, with an aggressive summoner spell rotation, wants to take out Darshan early.
Gotta respect the Trundle. So I like that placement right there. I think it's gonna be fine, because the Ignite on Jenkins makes him even more deadly than most top laners. This is just a fine trade into the bottom. And notice how Team Liquid has just been stacking a big minion wave. And Isles is still level 1, so Ayla can go for that trade, knowing he's not going to be punted into the turret or headbutted down there. So they're just stacking a big minion wave. And usually, if you had a different set of champions, this would be an opportunity for TL to dive the bottom lane. So it was part of their game plan that they're going to have this advantage against an Alistar. But it just shows you how invested they are in playing through top, that their whole jungle route was aimed to helping the top lane, instead of trying to go for a dive here.
Shern could be pinched here, though. Jenkins has still Ignite and quite a health lead, but Armeo's not roaming up for chase. Jenkins going to use the Shuriken backflip, will be able to get out of harm's way, but suffers about 200 HP. No more sustain, no more pods, as Armeo was able to get the Crystal Crab, but might be able to 2-crab Surenfire at this rate.
The bottom lane is pushing, but notice how it's just not worth it for Armeo, since he does have the wolf camp right now, right? He can just take wolves before doing it, and even though they just saw Xin Zhao, and he knows that he hasn't cleared the top side of the jungle, to go straight to the wolf camp right now, to the raptors, the scuttle crab rather, it would be out of his way. So instead, he just farms it up, and now he can go to it because his bottom lane still has priority.
Also allows him to hit level 4, so that if Surenfire wanted to contest, he would be able to match levels or be at equal strength. Shern is still on the top side of the map, was attempting to look for another gank, but because of that ward that Jenkins had put earlier, wasn't spotted out. Surenfire does not have a sweeper, so they don't have any way of being able to kind of darken out the vision on the top side of the map. Armeo, for the first time, is going to get a little bit of a lead against Surenfire on these camps.
This is really smart pathing from Armeo. Now gets the counter jungle because he knows where Surenfire started. Does have the smite to get out of that one, so I think he's going to be totally fine doing this. There's no threat of anything, although he needs to get out right now, and the ward spots him clearly. He's in a little bit of danger because Isle and King had just started the recalls while Ayla and Yun weren't there to help him out, but it all works out for him, and now the Xin is a little bit behind.
So far, a lot of the early game attempts from Cloud9 have been once again nullified. Jenkins, you already see a huge contrast of being able to have them back in the starting roster. You know, Team Liquid, they tried their experiment in Game 3, but going back to what was working for them in Games 1 and 2. A minor CS lead for Darshan is netted thanks to the pressure that Surenfire was able to put onto Jenkins earlier on, but still, might be in a fine spot, but Miles roaming up to the top side of the map could make things interesting.
Even drops the controller. If there's a time to gank Jenkins, if he takes this, Alistar is going to go in.
Oh my gosh, Darshan with the beautiful bait. Jenkins no longer has Shuriken backflip. Isles with the flash, pulverize into the Ignite. First blood for Cloud9.
The surprise cow comes out from the river and ends up killing Jenkins. And the wave is pushing away from him. And he just TP'd. It is a big advantage for Cloud9. And TL cannot dive King. They're not in a position to do so. Rise has to return the lane, and he backed off just at the right time. Really good roam from Isles there. Even dropped the control ward to not only check if the play was available, but now Team Liquid still don't know that there is a ward there, so maybe they'll try to go for a gank like Armeo is doing right now, pathing in the top side of the map and end up wasting his time. So a really smart play from Isles to start getting Darshan ahead, who's been so important for their whole summer split and in the game that they won.
Darshan not only having the wave in a prime state for him to manage. However, Team Liquid want to break that. They don't want to ensure that Darshan can have that advantage as king.
Wow.
It's a chunk of damage. As Armeo and Harry at pushing the mid wave together, were looking to collapse onto the top side of the map. But Darshan being able to hit Mega and level 6. Probably a little too scary for Team Liquid to go for the play quite soon.
Team Liquid needs to have Harry right there instantly, or else they just can't go for that. And he has to be mini, so there's a lot of things that have to go right for him. And if that wasn't enough, he's already itemized MR to stay alive if Harry shows up. Even if Armeo is there, a lot of the damage that Trundle has when it comes to these dives is from his ultimate at level 6, which is magic damage. So Darshan's itemization is going to be really good to be able to play weak side and just lane against Jenkins.
He can easily opt in for a Witsend as well because it's both Rise and Akali on the side lane split push, so not like you have to deal with any physical damage. A Shurnfire goes right into Ayla. Ayla's able to battle dance away from the knockup on Isles as he's going to get routed off. Remember, he doesn't have flash from the engage on the top lane side before. Armeo with the pulverize. Harry is able to walk up, gets the Rune Prison down for a kill. Team Liquid will also claim the prize in this blue buff.
That Realm Orb coming in clutch, and it gets a kill over to the Rise and the blue buff. I love seeing how Team Liquid actually sends the gold over to the right people. Trundle taking that kill would have been meaningless, but giving it over to the Rise now hurts the LeBlanc matchup, who has been so stale this game, but now he just happens to have that extra little bit of gold, and it's going to help the side lane for Team Liquid so much. Great trade out of Darshan. Just beat up Jenkins.
Yeah, Jenkins still doesn't have teleport for a couple more minutes here, Crumbs, either, so Jenkins has to stay in lane, doesn't have any real sustain apart from Conquer when it's fully stacked up, so Darshan going to have a huge advantage in being able to continuously poke at him under tower.
Does have a little bit of vamp, but Darshan just is happy to trade some of his high health to poke down the Akali. Won't have his ultimate anytime soon, but he knows Shurnfire and the gang is coming here. Oh, Armeo, you are even in more danger than Jenkins.
There's no Realm Warp from Harry, no teleport either. Armeo has the flash over the wall as a chain connecting would have been certain death for this troll. Armeo and Ayla having to keep themselves back as Harry does have to collect the wave being pushed in from Copy. Cloud9 still have positional advantage if they want to go for this Rift Herald as Copy's going to have to catch this wave and Team Liquid might have a chance to be able to rotate back in.
They have a chance, yet Nara is still shoving Jenkins into the turret. So that means that the Nara is going to be able to respond even sooner, and it's going to just be taking more plates. So Darshan holding down this matchup is really combined into a lot of pressure with the roam that we just saw from Cloud9. So they're doing a really good job in playing to the lane that they've already invested resources in with the earlier roam from the Alistar. So Cloud9 doing a really fine job in recognizing where they're strong, something that they had struggled in their previous games. And this one is them just realizing the area that was missing, playing to their strength, to what they drafted for, and it's looking so much better. There's already a 30% CS difference between Darshan and Jenkins.
I would honestly love for a chance to see the gold grab as Copy goes in with a double distortion, gets some poke down into Harry. Yeah, if we get a chance to see how far ahead, beautiful. Almost 1,000 for Darshan in the first 10 minutes. No kills really, just an assist gold. But Team Liquid with the pressure advantage as Shurnfire picks up the Rift Herald. Armeo exchanges it for the first dragon of the game. This is going to give them the stacking advantage as the game goes later on into the game.
That stacking advantage may not even be relevant in the context of the power of the soul, but in the power of drawing the teams to take these sides. Because that's where the game has really been decided. The objectives going one way or another haven't been so important as much as the fight is happening, ring the alarm, the dragon has spawned, show up. And that has been the key that these teams have really taken to heart.
Darshan maintaining Mega Form, as well as a small little hold right in front of his tower. Don't really have many objectives to play for on the map for the next couple of minutes here as Crumbs, but already you see that King and Isles have getting a huge shove out. Watch for Isles to roam eventually all the way into the top side of the map. Not necessarily for Darshan as he's sitting on a recall, but they can always start to look for plays, as one of the other win cons we talked about in the start of the game during the draft phase is that Sherm Copy got to link up and start accelerating this LeBlanc as well, because if Harry's Rise just gets out of laning phase scot-free, and he's going to be able to handle LeBlanc on the side lanes. But
Rise is such a nasty champion when he gets ahead. He can deal with so much pressure. He can 1v1, he can 2v1, he can 1v3, he can TP, he's got the Realm Warp, he's got Merc Tread, so he's tankier, which is something that LeBlanc isn't able to do so easily. So this is looking like a side lane bonanza once Harry gets going. And Jenkins, once he has his Riftmaker, will also be in a really strong position. And I think that that's something that Cloud9 needs to start thinking about, because right now the game is dead even. Not much is going on. Everyone is just trading back and forth. But when you have a matchup that is only going to get worse with time, the clock is ticking on your side.
Surefire pops a Rift Herald on the other side of this wall. Gonna give a nice cross angle, and look at Darshan is also here, potentially threatened for more plates. Not necessarily a dive, there was an angle going behind the wall, but the rest of Team Liquid are able to respond with Ayla and Armeo to give a total of 2 turret plates over to the members of Cloud9. Next dragon isn't spawning for a couple minutes or so, so we're gonna see standard laning phase once again, Crumbs, as everyone is going in for recalls. No one has received a mythic quite yet, but Jan has picked up this Essence Reaper.
It was going to be a really important item for him anyways. I think it's usually you go Gale for, so doesn't really need it just yet. And this actually allows him to stay out on the map much longer. If he were to have his mythic completed, with the lack of action, you're not getting a lot of value from just dashing away. The action has not panned down to the bottom lane, so with the Essence Reaver and the lifesteal he naturally has from runes, he can stay out on the map much longer and start farming and maintaining pressure. More importantly, the minion wave shoved in. Or else, against the Tristana, you're going to lose that war of attrition, and she's just going to take your turret and you won't be able to do a thing about it.
And it's one of the things that we're surprised that Cloud9 haven't had a chance to do yet, because even though it's not the Ziggs, the Tristana is similar, kind of the original marksman when it comes to just abolishing turret plates to accelerate gold for yourself. But so far, Cloud9 have only really been able to take 1 turret play from both the top lane, the bottom lane, and then 2 plays from the mid lane, and that's all they got now that it's past the 14-minute mark. So in terms of being able to accelerate the gold, Cloud9 didn't really get a chance to do that this game.
And that play in the mid lane, also from a Rift here. Let's see how this played out. Just another nice little dodge. King has been really good about using his rocket jump against the Rakan this game, because he knows that if he gets that cancelled, he's dead. There's no way out. But the fact that he has been able to consistently disengage from him has really turned Ayla away from finding a fight in the mid, in the bottom lane, and look for roams elsewhere. So that has contributed to these supports trying to leave the lane and trying to make plays elsewhere, beyond obviously being inspired by Core JJ.
The buffer on the rocket jump has always been on point. Whether it connects or not, he's always able to dodge out on the grand entrance, but King not having Isles in the laning phase, while does help the top side of the map and helps net first blood against Jenkins, King hasn't been unlocked from this lane and hasn't had a chance to really use one of Tristana's strengths in just being able to blow up turrets with the explosive charge. And this is an opportunity for Jan to potentially take out the first brick of the game, because King and Isles had to recall.
Ooh, so I think he saw Sherfire, but he's thinking, should I greed for it? It doesn't seem that greedy. There's no blast on over. We have vision of it. takes down that first turret, and now the dragon has spawned. Kali has TP, is shoving up top, but she doesn't have her mythic completed, and Gnar is here, and he's starting to build stacks through the dragon. So this dragon belongs to Cloud9, as they are prepared for it. They are here first, and Team Liquid gladly concedes it. The worst thing that's happening is Jenkins crashes the wave, but since Darshan TP's top, he doesn't even miss a single creep.
Oh, well.
You know, from experience, he doesn't miss experience.
There you go. There you go. Good save. Good save. Cloud9 are able to equalize the dragons, and this is for the first time, Crumbs. We don't have a Cloud Soul. We got an Infernal Soul this time around, so things are really starting to heat up here for this series. It is still match point for Team Liquid, has been since they won Game 2. With an Infernal Soul on the line, there's going to be extra firepower being added to the team that is able to pick it up.
Let's see where that firepower is really going to be hurting. It's usually poke champions. I really get a lot of value out of that one. And LeBlanc, I think, is probably one of the scariest to get that, because her combos do serve as poke, and suddenly a little bit more damage, a little more oomph on those sigils, and it just turns into assassinations. It's like when you throw a ball at your friend, hey, catch this, but you throw a little bit too hard, and then they get hurt. That's kind of what happens to LeBlanc once she gets Infernal Soul on her.
Yeah, catch this. Oh, it's on fire. What? Why didn't you tell me it's on fire? Well, it sucks to suck, I guess. Cloud9.
Hot potato
There
to
you
a
go.
new level.
Oh my goodness. Real life hot potato. We actually had that. Because usually we just play it with like normal objects and we just say, oh yeah, it's hot, you know, be careful with it. But yeah, I think that'd be a fun game to have for players, just to see how good the reaction skills translate from off the rift into the real action scenarios here. Next dragon isn't spawning for another 3 minutes though, Crumb, so the Infernal Soul won't be coming anytime soon. But the Rift Herald was secured for Team Liquid on the second iteration, and Armeo is going to plant it, try to unlock the map even further by looking for the mid lane turret.
And there is action everywhere because the call of the Herald has been sounded, and everybody knows that mid lane is really important, but it was already so low. They don't bother trying to defend this. They just want to get a second crash on it. Will they stop it? Nope. Doesn't get to proc the eye on time, but it still means that that attention from Cloud9 at the Herald can go for a blue buff steal, and LeBlanc is not here yet.
Darshan is building up mega stacks. Harry is still walking on over. Copy isn't there either. But both mid laners have TP if things start to get tricky here. Darshan might look for the angle, looks for the flash Mega Gnar ultimate, but Jan is able to pop Featherstorm and is able to get out alive. Ayla can't say the same. And Surefire now looks for the flash follow-up. Copy is able to land the charm on his former teammate, and it's a double for Copy.
Team Liquid just greeds out and does not respect Cloud9. They think they can just take blue buff in their face and they won't do a thing about it? How wrong were they? Cloud9 just run them down. They've got so many tools. They're aching to fight. They still have every single flash available. And even though Yeon does have the reactions to press his ultimate and stay alive, that doesn't just magically teleport you away. He still gets caught by the follow-up flashes from Surenfire and the Gnar, and that means that Team Liquid end up losing 2 critical kills that go over to the LeBlanc. She's now going to be really annoying to deal with. If she starts getting Void Staff, then the poke will stick on everybody, and that's the last thing you want when you're on Team Liquid side, since they don't really have a quick way of catching her either. Ryze does well into the LeBlanc when she chooses to go in, when she chooses to stay and not distort back. But for the most part, nobody can really catch her. LeBlanc sucks against targets that instantly stun you, because you can never really go in. No one on TL does that. Every single ability is conditional and or a skill shot. So she getting gold is the scariest thing that could happen for TL.
And it's exactly what Cloud9 were waiting for in this mid game. We think about the way that Team Liquid were able to win games 1 and 2. They were able to always look for map advantages while just mitigating the amount of losses that they gave up in exchange for the map pressure. And Cloud9 were always being stifled on the engages, looking for picks, looking for ways to break open the game. They never had that opportunity in games 1 and 2. Game 3, a very different story, of course, as Cloud9 just broke open the gates, and Team Liquid, seeming like in this Game 4, we're starting to be reminiscent of the performances in Games 1 and 2 of that series, but now Copy hitting the Void Staff Power Spike alongside that Luden's Tempest. This is going to start putting Copy into the breakpoint where he can start threatening the lives of these squishy members on the side of Team Liquid.
It's going to be Copy and Harry. These are the two members with the 2 completed items, so the mages are the ones to watch for in this fight. But even then, Sean does have his Divine Sunder and a red buff, so he could be very deadly, considering he's the highest level in the game.
Look at that chunk on the Ayla. Already sub 500 HP. Now Ayla is going to try to use the Glooming Quill to heal himself back up. Darshan has routed off Jenkins after he used the teleport, so he's not going to be able to get into this fight. And Team Liquid say, you know what, screw it. We're not going to even go for it. We're going to use the Realm Warp, try to push tempo, try to get this minion wave into knocking down the Tier 2 turret. But Cloud9 are able to follow right back up and prevent them from looking for any advantages.
Cloud9 can tell how afraid Team Liquid is of them right now. Right, they're running away, they're TPing out, they're going back to the silence, they don't want to stand up to fight. And if they're not running away as 4, Darshan is routing Jenkins as well. So they're winning on every single front, and it's really hurting Team Liquid's chances to go into these fights. They can't even set up well. When Copy can go so freely in and out and chunk down Ayla, that's a good enough target. No, he doesn't have to go for the carries every time. As long as he catches Ayla, think about how the 4v4 is now going to play out. If Rakan has to go in, he has to be at a higher health than 20% for him to actually get these charms, or else he's just going to get popped instantly. So continually chunking out the Rakan is a great way for Cloud9 to ensure that TL never have a good engage.
And it also helps out in the ability to disengage properly, because you can always battle dance while using the quickness to charm any member that is diving right on top of your backline. But if you get chunked out early on by this Copy LeBlanc, which you can, since it's a battle song Rakan, it's not a tanky Rakan, he's very squishy, really only HP and ability power on his side. There's so many targets for Copy to idealistically start to chunk out or even assassinate before a fight breaks out. We don't have another Dragon for a few more minutes, but already Cloud9 are starting to get into the faces of Team Liquid. Jenkins looking for the assassination on the Shermfire, goes right back in, takes him right back out. Darshan with a 3-man Gnar pull, but it's more of a disengage factor, as Isles might have not been on the same page. Is going to have to bite the wolves on this one. Jenkins comes out huge with a double.
They see the Xin overextended, and Team Liquid have every member there. Copy was not at the start of the fight. Holy crap! Okay, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. He almost just eliminated the AD carry. That kill means you can't go for Baron. That damage might mean that this Baron could be a throw. If the LeBlanc can show up and she just based and TP'd back, she's looking for blood.
Darshan has to build up Mega Stacks ASAP. Jan already popping the heal because they're falling low to this Baron HP, but Copy knows that he can still get in there. This would be huge if Copy could make the steal despite a smite steal. He goes in for the double distortion. Armeo is able to secure it with the smite. Darshan not quite mega yet, but Copy is able to burn Ayla down. Darshan is going mega now. King went into the backline, but they slam Armeo and Harry into the wall. Jenkins is the only member that survives in the aftermath of the Baron. Team Liquid will still be able to survive with one Baron buff member on their side, but Cloud9 gets so many kills back.
The Team Liquid is so lucky that they didn't just lose the game right there. That LeBlanc is so powerful. She just kills a few members with the help of the Gnar, but at least Team Liquid get a single Baron. The problem is, you lost so many members, you're not getting any value from pushing on that. That's just gold and taking it off the map. We're back to dead even, and in that position, Cloud9 is winning. They are winning hard. This LeBlanc now has a Soul Stealer. She's so powerful. Team Liquid are so fortunate that they're able to actually come out with something in that fight, that at least a single Baron is available. But they can't even use that to siege. This composition, not a very good sieging comp, and Jenkins doesn't have TP. So the team isn't going to rally 4-man and have him split push because he can't join. So this Baron, is just going to continue to push the game forward into more dragons, which luckily for us, they're in a minute.
You can tell how confident Copy is feeling in Game 4, despite Team Liquid having the edge, having the match point on their side, but being able to play this boldly at a dire time like this, where one loss means it is over for Cloud9 Academy and the finals going over to Team Liquid. The fact that he has purchased this Magi Soul Stealer now means that this threat of a LeBlanc just one-shotting any crucial carry of Team Liquid is looming in the back of minds of this squad.
Well, Team Liquid knows the threat is greater, but so is the reward. Kill the LeBlanc, you take gold straight out of her pocket by diminishing those stacks, so they have to know what they're up against now. Layla knows dash back, knows it's safe.
Whoa! Flash from Schernfire forces the Featherstorm out of Yawn. Present Guard is exchanged as well. Will keep Schernfire alive. The Dragon is about to spawn. Cloud9 have already taken away one of the survivability tools from Yawn in that Featherstorm. No summoners either. Watch for Copy to see if he can get an angle. Guys tries to look into this bush, but it's warded. He's going to have to clear it out. Jenkins popping over the wall. He's going to be the only person that can threaten as Darshan gets knocked out by the Grand Entrance. About to go Mega, though. Isles looking for the re-engage. Popping the Unbreakable. Has all this damage reduction. Darshan is trailing behind. Yawn is gone, though. King has found one reset, and the rest of the members of Cloud9 are looking to pile down onto Cloud9. But Darshan looking for the scoop, but just a hair too late. Harry is able to escort the rest of the members of Team Liquid away to safety with that Realm Warp, but the Dragon will be awarded to Cloud9.
That was the best Realm Warp of all time. Oh my god, they almost died. Everybody almost died right there. That was so fortunate. Jenkins, can he outplay this?
Oh, Jenkins popping the perfect execution. Chain will land, having to use the second cast to get away. Darshan hopping. Boomerang play does not land, and Jenkins will be able to survive.
He can't stay any longer, though. Copy's ultimate will come back up soon, but I think Cloud9 knows that going for the turret would be very risky here as well, so just by a sliver does it live, but that fight was so close, and I think it was critical in the earlier fight where Ayla overstepped looking to harass Darshan, that Cloud9 re-engaged and ended up getting Yeon's ultimate because it wasn't available for that fight, and that is why he died. Tristana was able to get onto him, so Cloud9 ended up winning that trade. And by winning that earlier fight, they were able to then walk up to the Dragon and take whatever fight was offered since they knew they had such a large ultimate advantage.
Look at this. We didn't even get a chance to mention, but the magic resist that is coming out from Darshan already with the completed Wit's End, but also Churnfire, the second item as well. The magic damage threats from Harry and Jenkins, they can be strong, but a little bit of magic resist will go a long way, as the Void Staff was just completed by Harry to try and combat the magic resistance coming in. Jenkins also working towards that as well, but still waiting on probably another 1,000 gold at least for Cloud9. The gold lead is still nowhere near as big as it was for Game 3 when Cloud9 were pushing for a victory, but Cloud9 still have the confidence on their side.
They've got confidence and an Infernal Soul available in 3 minutes time. So Cloud9 can always use that. And you've got a really fed LeBlanc, which almost always feels amazing on your team now. She's been playing really well this game, has some fat stacks. A single more assist would get you that movement speed and make her such a dangerous opponent, weaving in and out and rotating to side lanes faster than she otherwise would be. So Cloud9 is on the precipice of accelerating this game to a place where Team Liquid just cannot keep up. And a single fight at Dragon that goes their way, I think would make the difference. Because Baron is going to be up in 40 seconds as well. That means that you now have either 2 minutes to set up a Baron and get a fight, or just wait out for Dragon, and the winner who wins that gets both.
Cloud9 so close to being able to equalize the series, to bring this to a Game 5, to bring this to a potential reverse sweep. They have been in this position before. They were able to come out of it against the quarterfinal matchup in Evil Geniuses just 2 weeks ago. FlyQuest, they also went to 5 games. And Team Liquid, despite having a such strong start, with games 1 and 2 on their side, the pressure is starting to mount. You can't help but imagine, can Team Liquid have the resilience, have the fortitude to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected, even in the threat of a reverse sweep?
At this point, it's starting to feel that A tweet and the reverse sweep is half the C9 brand because it always continues to happen. This team just finds a way to get themselves with their backs against the wall and then have the resiliency to come back. This is feeling like the comeback in the making, but Team Liquid has shown to be tough. This is not a team that rolls over. This team has clawed their way back, and they have the items to do so. 3 items on all their major carries, stopwatches on all of them as well. They have everything they need. They just have to execute accordingly.
Cloud9 still waiting for this opportunity. The past 2 minutes have almost seemed like forever, Crumbs. It seems like an eternity for this next dragon to spawn. Both teams do not feel confident to just start the Baron right away, even with it on the map. They're fighting for vision control and fighting for mid priority so they can gain first access into controlling the river entrances to both objectives. Team Liquid poised around this mid lane, maybe potentially looking for a pick.
Watch Copy, see who he's targeting. It's already some good chunk on Armeo, but he's pretty tanky, and I think he'll heal back up, especially with his ultimate, so that poke really won't stick. Watch if he hits Ayla or Yeon.
The way he's looping around. They have to catch this mid wave though. 24 seconds on the dragon before spawning. Arshan maintaining choke control of this bottom river entrance. Isles walking back into the river. Poppy is able to catch the wave and come right back. Watch him over the wall. Ayla is able to spot him out with a ward. Churnfire has to pop the Crescent Guard, but Armeo's Sterak's Gauge will pop, which means a lot of the survivability and the durability. But Darshan's been caught, and he's getting shut down! That is a huge advantage, and now they're feeling confident. Jenkins going right back in. Realm Warp will follow up on the engage. Ayla with the knock-up onto Churnfire and King. He's able to buffer with the rocket jump away, but Team Liquid will be able to stall and deny the Infernal Soul. But Copy goes in with a flash, forcing the Featherstorm out of Yawn, but the Infernal Soul will be denied.
Really good play, but now Harry might be caught. He lives. King is now shoving the midway, so Team Liquid does have to base, and Baron is always a possibility here, though, so Cloud9 do still have options. They did lose that fight, but this is yet far from over. Team Liquid and Cloud9 can continue to push their advantage, and Team Liquid is going for Baron right now. They're not taking their gold. The Daya is staying here. They're trying to rush this down, but there's a blast cone, and if that wasn't enough, the Xin can always dash forward. They have to keep him out.
Jenkins is already here, maintaining goalie position. He puts a control ward to be able to give some time. 5,000 HP on the Baron, is burning down super rapidly. Churnfire dashes onto Jenkins, but the Baron has been secured. Jenkins will give his life for the greater cause. Darshan trying to pursue, look for a pick on its Yawn while he still doesn't have Featherstorm. The rest of Team Liquid, thanks to the battle song, are able to get out alive and will return to the base with the Baron on their side.
The winner of the Dragon fight would get both objectives, and that's just what happened. Team Liquid now have the Baron to push out every single side lane, but it really hurts that Jenkins did not get it. He was in prime position to defend against Xin and dash back, but critically missed his shuriken flip, was on the edge of the wall, but a bit too far, and ends up dying for it. That could be a costly mistake. Having a Baron on every side lane is such an incremental amount of pressure as opposed to just in the 4-man unit. So now Jenkins isn't gonna be that scary in a side lane, which means that Cloud9 will have an easy time defending anywhere that Team Liquid chooses to push, since they won't all be empowered minion waves.
This Baron buff is such a blessing for Team Liquid to have, as it stalls out the game and gives them a little bit more time to further accelerate gold into Harry's Rise, who, while Copy is strong, hasn't given up a kill, can still match him in the side lane if it comes down to that. But this poke from Copy cannot be ignored.
I mean, you gotta... Your heart's gotta race for Ayla. You're getting obliterated by a LeBlanc who's got Death Cap, Tempest, Void, Sorks, and 15 Magi stacks, and you're thinking, well, I should probably buy some Magic Resist, right? No, buys Glacial Shroud, right? He's trying to go for the Zeke's conversions for the Xayah, so he's thinking, I gotta keep him alive. 629 AP, I gotta get the Xayah to do more damage, and I will make it my responsibility to not get popped by the LeBlanc. So it's bold. It's a bold strategy from the Rakan, and so if he can play it that well, then amazing. It works out. But if not, then Copy's just going to be able to pop him every single time. And now it's a dance between LeBlanc and Rakan, because a pick on the Rakan will mean so much. We already saw how important he was in that last fight. If he can't do that every time, no way Team Liquid wins these fights.
Yeah, Team Liquid are tactically using this Baron push advantage to push out the middle and bottom lane to gain access into this jungle, setting up vision control, being the ones that are shrouding Cloud9 in darkness with the Fog of War on their side this time around. And with the next dragon spawning in 1 minute and 30 seconds, if Team Liquid are able to prevent Cloud9 able to walk in safely, the Infernal Soul will be denied once again, and another 5 minutes will be awarded to Team Liquid to stall out the game.
5-man push, Realm Warp is here, Isles on the side.
They knock up Churnfire, but Ayla's able to bounce right back. Isles has been baited in, has the flash wave despite using Unbreakable, but Yon no longer has Featherstorm, and it's a minute until this dragon is up. If Featherstorm is not up by then, that could be an opportunity for Cloud9 to look for. Yon doesn't even have flash either.
Both teams are so lucky they didn't lose all members there. It would have been disaster if Cloud9 ended up having the Alistar go down. Would not have been able to get back on the map and set up vision for this dragon. That's why he's so important. It's not about him joining the fight so much about he's the one that can face check. He's the one that's going to buy more control wards and set up vision for his team. He lives, and so he can rejoin the team and start clearing out some of the vision that Team Liquid have already set up. Now the target is going to be Yeon. He's going to have his ultimate available, but no flash is a really big deal. Cloud9 knows that there is an important target without summoners. If they can kill the Xayah, and boy can LeBlanc kill a Xayah right now, that's their window into this game.
The thing is that all those wards in that bottom lane pushed up, those are potential flank wards for Jenkins and Harry. Harry's going to have to burn the teleport, however, into this tri-bush just to be able to get to the fight. Jenkins pops Zhonya's Hourglass to buy some time. Looks for the assassination on the Churnfire. Pop splash. Crescent Guard is not going to be enough. He's going down. Ayla lands the knock-up down on the King, keeps him afar. Yon is able to deal with Isles, and now Cloud9 are down 3 members. Darshan almost getting popped. Cloud9 are on the run. They have to survive. Team Liquid will take the prize of the dragon, but do they push to end the game, Crumbs?
I don't think they can push to end the game right now. The Tristana's already back to full health, and the strongest members of C9 are still alive, so they'll happily take the soul point, but they can't push for more. There's still stopwatches available on these carries, so that fight was really close, and Churnfire got baited, thinking that he could go into our mail. That is the tankiest target on Team Liquid, with a Spirit Visage on top of that, and the Sterex Gauge. There was no way they could pop him. But because he landed the spear, he's thinking, well, maybe I can force something out of him. But the Akali does too much in response. And so if C9 isn't getting the fight on their terms, their target selection is completely off. It's only Tristana. LeBlanc needs to find the right position, or else she sucks at bursting tanks.
Sana just doesn't have the firepower quite yet to be able to burn down the Creepy front line in Armeo. Darshan just used Hob. Battle Song is used. Yon looking for the plate. This is a great pillar. Darshan might be in a world of hurt. Has to burn the flash. Churnfire will give his life for the cause. Crescent Guard is burned. Ayla lands a knockup once again. Yon looking for the follow-up with the Featherstorm, but Copy burns down Ayla. Yon has a GA. Will be resurrecting for the fight. Darshan on retreat. Jenkins looking for pursuit. Copy is able to Darshan back, but they take out Jenkins. Harry is low on Rylines. Puts the double stopwatch. One more. Wall up is not going to be enough, but Copy over the wall will be able to save the game for Cloud9. They're on the run. They're pursuing Armeo. And Armeo has to run now, but Copy, staying alive, being the pivotal member for Cloud9 with all the Magi stacks, finds the ace in Game 4.
They might be able to end the game, but there's no minion wave, so they actually have to pull back. They have to go for the Baron instead. If they had a creep wave, they could have done it, but they win the fight through the GA. They'll get the Baron and swing the game back. Cloud9 outfight their way.
Oh my god, Crumbs. This can't be real. Cloud9, once again, back-to-back fights. Their front lines get eviscerated. But Copy, King, and Darshan, the carries stay strong, and being able to fight out 3-on-5, like, how does that happen?
When the focus is on the least important members of Cloud9, the carries feel like they're on top of the world, and they've got a 700 gold bounty if that wasn't enough. but they knew that the focus fire was on the Alistar, on the Gnar, even onto the Xin, because it initially was Yeon using Gale Force aggressively to poke onto Schernfire, to burn his ultimate down. So when the Xayah overextends so far, it's open season for Tristana and the LeBlanc. They know that the targets are not coming after them. They can move in and out. No one's going to surprise them. CC gets burnt onto the tanks, so the carries just get to shine. And then when they split up at the end, thinking that the fight was still won with the Realm Warp, that was when it fell apart.
And this Baron buff now on the side of Cloud9. They get a huge chunk out of Ayla once again. Copy has been absolutely outstanding this game. 25 stacks on the Medjai Soul Sealer. Time and time again, we have seen mid laners pick up this item, and soon it becomes their downfall. They have so much stacks, they have so much gold, they feel like they have all the boldness in the world to be able to make these plays, and they die. They lose the stacks, the investment is for nothing, but Copy has been maintaining the fine line, the balance between life and death, and then always coming out on top with a TP flank. Who is this from? This is from Jenkins. The pinch is going to be huge. If Jenkins is able to assassinate the backline, look for Copy. It's going to be huge charm. King is able to buffer the jump out of the way. Jenkins lands the Shuriken backflip only on the Isles, though. Surenfire will give his life for the cause once again. Darshan will get routed off, but King finds a huge explosive charge onto both Jenkins and Ayla, and that still gives them a numbers advantage. They'll be able to stabilize an equal amount the teams. It is still a 3-on-3 push, and they're going to look for the inhibitors here.
The dashback brought the explosive charge to kill 2 members. King gets the double, but with the Baron, they got the inhibitor. They can't go for more, but he's feeling like he wants to tempt Team Liquid, asking them to try, because they know with the Alistar and the LeBlanc, right there, this Tristana is just untouchable. They're camping into the red side. There's 25 seconds onto the Baron. But what does Team Liquid do in response? What does Cloud9 do in response? Because they're waiting. They're setting up a trap. Maybe they can catch the Xayah. If she is left alone to shove this wave, there's a flash on Alistar. They could look for something if she oversteps. She backs off.
Copy was waiting in the wings. Look at that. The frantic missing pings come out from Team Liquid. You can hear their hearts thumping right now as the pressure is on Crumbs. Team Liquid, with the first Baron, they were so close to being able to close out this game 4 and take the match, but Cloud9, off of the Baron push, off of the fight in the bottom lane, will secure Infernal Soul, and now this is where things are really amped up to the next level, because the next objectives are both Baron and Elder Dragon.
This is the most damage you can have on a LeBlanc. You just can't go any higher. Maybe if you switched out the Banshee's Veil for another item, but this is just max DPS, 858 AP. With a potion, with 25 Magi stacks, she does so much right now. Team Liquid have no way of dealing with her, and if that wasn't enough, there's a Tristana who now is outranging Xayah, and that's a problem. It was really good early when Xayah was ahead of Triss and had more range, but now she's in charge. Now she is running this show, and so Xayah just has to hang back and hope that C9 falls into them, but if they don't, she's life-stanking turrets and just mowing down her allies.
They don't even have the minion debuff, and they're still able to obliterate this turret. I mean, my goodness. Cloud9, after through thick and thin, through a super controlled early game from Team Liquid, they find the explosion that they needed to catapult themselves into the driver's seat. And still only a 4,000 gold lead at 44 minutes into the game, but where the state of the team lies right now for Cloud9, their carries are in prime position to just take over the next team fight and make it the last going into Game 5.
Amazing how the momentum has shifted so drastically. The first games were so one-sided in TL's favor, but suddenly Cloud9 feels entirely revitalized. They've found their groove with these champions, and they are running this show. It feels like it has to be a Cloud9 misplay in a fight, or Ayla finding an incredible charm where he doesn't instantly die. That is the hope for Team Liquid, because no one else can come close to the range that C9 has over them right now. It's gonna be up to the Rakan, so as long as C9 understand this, and have done a really good job of doing so, and punt him away, or focus him when they see him coming, then Team Liquid's chances are so slim.
Cloud9 taking their time. They're not able to breach the other lanes and these inhibitors quite yet with the Baron buff that they had, but they are maintaining complete vision control over this topside map into the entrance of the Baron. If we even get a chance to look at the Fog of War from Team Liquid's perspective, I would imagine that it's complete darkness at this point. They don't have any safe way of being able to face check without the fear of being routed off or popped by this LeBlanc.
LeBlanc just went over the wall and half HP Dion. He needs a wave to lifesteal, and that's just not enough time for Team Liquid to go into the Baron now. He's now healing back up, but the waves are crashing into the bottom lane. A lot of pressure on Team Liquid, and the Baron's already started. This might be dead already. That's a Tristana with full build.
Holy moly. They burned it down. They've got Baron. Copy looks to route off our mail, but Copy
got him!
Copy got shut down by his former teammate and Yon. 100 Thieves next. Brother Lines means nothing when Academy Finals is on the line. Cloud9 now are on the retreat. Jenkins has a teleport available if they can get a ward down. Jenkins is going to be able to route them off. Ayla looking for the knockup. Cloud9 have to preserve this Baron buff or it is lost for Cloud9 and could be Team Liquid's victory back into the match. Isles is able to route off our mail with King. Cloud9 are able to take down Harry as well. And just when we thought Team Liquid, look at the base, the TP from Darshan. Darshan could look at the end of the game. It's just Darshan fashion right now. Nexus turret will fall, but Darshan might not have enough time to be able to take down the Nexus, but he's going to go for it, Crumbs. He's going to have to hop, skip, jump all over the members of Team Liquid, but the rest of the members of Cloud9, they can just walk up. We're going to Game 5!
Oh, Cloud9! They lose LeBlanc, and at the end of the day, they still win the game. That's the best trade. That is the best trade you could have asked for. Great heads-up play. They were being attacked because Team Liquid saw that was the only chance they had. LeBlanc down. You have to go for the throw, but they disengaged, and they end the game off that push. We knew this was going to go to 5. Come on, everybody knew when we were talking. How do you think the game's going to go? It's going to go to 5. We saw how they were playing. It's finally delivered, right? We knew the destination. We just didn't know the journey.
And the journey has been a hell of a one right now, Crumbs. I mean, I was memeing when I said, hey, you know what? This is Cloud9's comfort zone. 0-2, you know, the way that Team Liquid had closed out games 1 and 2, it was so damn convincing. So we have to give credit to Team Liquid that, you know what? Even though the memes of the 0-2 reverse sweep exist, it didn't seem like it was possible. But now here we are, Crumbs. The past 4 games don't matter at all. It is now a glorified best of 1. One more game to close out this series to take the title of the Academy Finals champion here in summer 2021. When we come back, Joshi, Cubby, and Rebel Fox are going to try and figure out what the hell is going to go and happen in Game 5.